Hi, this is Captain Charisma coming to you from the Love Dungeon, and now today we're going to be learning how to dock. Now, I'm not going to show you how to construct a dock-capable thing. I will, however, quickly go over this just in case you actually want your own, like, little copy and pasted thing just so you can get used to controls and not have to worry about building the thing. Although, technically, I'm just going to go over... Alright, I've got a command pod, 4 lights just in case it's at night time, because I planned this horribly. Okay, for this design I used 8 parachutes, radially attached. I've got my RCS tank, the bigger one, and 4 RCS thrusters, a fuel tank for returning. Well, I'm going to do how to re-entry, even though there's no re-entry physics. There might be some time in the future, and I don't want to update this video anytime soon. Alright, I've got 4 batteries, just in case I want to, for the lights, and just in case I want to exchange electricity with a station. So we're not going to be docking with a station, we're going to be docking with an identical ship, just like this one. I have a Poodle engine attached to this, and that is a stack decoupler. And here is the most simplest rocket. It's big, it gets into orbit, and it's relatively simple. That's why I did it, because one little thing about my last video was the rocket was really damn complicated. That's only because I want to go over as much as I can. Which, yeah, anyhow. Central rocket 3, which tanks they call? 3 Rocket Max X200 32 fuel tanks. I use these instead of the Jumbo 64 ones, because these ones don't overheat if you shove a mainsail under them. And yeah, they might be more efficient, I don't know. So yeah, they're attached to the central pylon. I use a skipper and the central one, that's for getting into like pro-orbit. This is what's getting it. The mainsail's for getting out of the atmosphere, so yeah, there's all that. There's the radial decouplers. These, I don't know if they actually do anything still. So yes, our staging is quite simple. We've got the 2 Rocket Max first, then they decouple, then the skipper fires, then the central pylon just connects, and we have the Poodle engine, and these 2 parachutes should be last since we're going to be coming back down eventually. Oh, I'm going to do one, I'll do the other one like later. And this is the most important thing, because you're going to be learning how to dock in this video. This is a Clamp-O-Tron docking port. There are 5 different docking ports, and it's a good idea to have your docking ports the same size on the 2 vessels you're trying to connect. And yeah, so put this in a central location, preferably like this. Oh, by the way, there's an SAS module, I just realized that. That's important too. Make sure there's an SAS, advanced SAS. It's kind of hard when you're constantly correcting everything, and this makes everything a whole lot easier. And regular SAS, I don't think it really cuts it in this situation, because I don't know why regular SAS kind of sucks. Anyway, I'm going to save this to the personnel pod, and launch this turkey, and yeah. Fantastic. X to cut the engines, and this is where I was originally. Now, okay, we're getting really close up to its trajectory, our target's trajectory. So, don't do that. You place maneuver node and do what I'm doing. Use the prograde markers only unless your inclination is screwed up, in which case you probably should go to the ascending or descending nodes and make your inclination changes there. The inclination markers are the pink ones. Okay, in fact, I might make a little adjustment myself, because I seem to have ballsed it up, but I think I actually changed it here without too much hassle. Because we haven't circularized properly. That's not ideal, but it's such a close trajectory, it doesn't really matter. Alright, turn off your SAS, and head over to that maneuver node. Now, it's really easy to do this just by, well, thinking. But you're watching a tutorial, so something tells me you're not exactly, well, you know, completely familiar with the game's controls, in which case, yay! Okay, I am mildly not in control of this, but that's okay. Beginner's tool or slash cheat. If you ever find yourself being annoyed that you cannot fix your rotation with the SAS, use time warp and that will stop all rotation. That is something that... And remember, cheaters always win. Fires the engines. Now, ideally, we don't want to overshoot this at all, because that will make things a nightmare for us. I did that in one take, and it was horrible, and I ended up... It made a quick video into a goddamn saga, so I hope they're not going to do that. And that's why this time I'm actually paying attention. Now, for docking, you want to get that meters per second to 0 or as close to as humanly possible. And in which case, you don't want to use your engines for the last, like, couple of meters. And you want to stay on that blue marker. You want to chase that as it tries and escapes you. Cut the engines from here. Now, 6 meters a second, we can use them like the engines, but not that much. Just try and bring it down with the engines as far as possible until the blue marker freaks out. And when it freaks out, like here's good. See, now that simply moving changes my trajectory. Turn on your RCS and let the marker drift over, preferably without using the RCS to actually move your drifting thing, I don't know. And press H to use your RCS to thrust you forward, just that itty little bit of thing to get you right exactly where you want to be. That prevents you from overshooting it and screwing up very small adjustments that are important, like this orbit. Now, as you can clearly see, we are not, in fact, going to catch up with it anytime soon. And because I stupidly made the other ship that bloody low in orbit, it's going to take me eternity to catch up to this thing like this. But there is another way. We can let it catch up to us. How? Although technically, it would, if we had a bit more room without actually dipping into the atmosphere, because if you go in the atmosphere's air friction will slow you down and eventually you will crash. And that is not quite that advisable. But if you want to catch up with something, you want to be on the inside of it. Like, ideally we want to be here, but that's not going to work this time because it's going to take forever. Now we want to be it faster, and sometimes it is going to be faster to let it catch up to you. In which case, let's put a maneuver node at the periapse, and I'm going to show you how this works. Alright. If you're making prograde burns and you want to keep your orbit circular, always use the prograde and retrograde at the periapse and apoapsis. Doesn't matter which one, as long as they're at the apoapsis. Alright. That's high enough, and don't worry, sometimes using more than one maneuver node can be confusing, but as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you get it exactly right like I just showed you, it doesn't really matter if it screw it up. And a good idea, if you want your orbits to be relatively equal, and if you have OCD, you'll probably end up doing this a lot, but you want to find the average of the apoapsis and periapsis. Or a good way to do this without actually doing math is to put the apoapsis and periapsis directly, like, look, the apoapsis and periapsis for our, like, next burn, like, we're going to go this maneuver node and burn. The apoapsis and periapsis ideally should be about where my mouse is, and here. Now, if you want to circularize your orbit so the heights on both sides are about the same, or close to it, though probably won't be unless you're a savant, you want to get them 90 degrees from your original one. So in other words, just say, this way is an up plane, or an X. You want to get them on the Y axis. No. Okay. Reverse, okay. Take 2! Alright, just say, take 3! Alright, so you want to get your periapsis and your apoapsis is here. I'm not doing a take 4. And your periapsis is down here. Now, if you want to get those heights about the same, like mine, well, but it's close enough. You want to shift, like, imagine a line going through the planet. Now, to get it about even, to find the relative average, you must get it on the other axis. In this case, it's going to be the x-axis. The original one's going to be the y-axis. Just imagine the axes. If you're not good with axes, I don't know, read a book. Alright, Kerbal Space Program. It always takes a lot longer than you originally expected. Something is lacking horribly. And also, I can actually speak today without stuttering. Isn't that amazing? Alright, make a little bit of a correction. And start burning. But don't burn like a maniac, you only need as much as sanity permits. Get that close as possible. And make one last little miniature burn to get down to about 0.5 meters a second. So you can do the rest on RCS. And you don't have to be, like, your direction marker doesn't have to be stationary for it to happen, you just have to be in the general area, I find. And SCS will always make a freak out, don't worry about that. See, 0.0 meters a second is kind of going to 1, but that's okay. And now delete that marker, for the love of God, delete the one you just used. If you use a maneuver node, always delete the maneuver node when you've used it. Ignore this thing up here, I just realized I had it, it's a mod. It won't be in your game unless you download it. Now we have to wait for the next one, and burn exactly to 0, and that should circularize our orbit so we can let this thing catch up to us. Seems counterintuitive, but it makes sense. So let us time warp to our destination. Or at least about a minute from it so we can have time to adjust. Incidentally, that mod I mentioned, I can actually use that to slow me down if I... Yeah. It's a good mod. You should download it. It's called Kerbal Alarm Clock. Alright, slow down and let's move over to it. Now, I'm not using RCS for this, mainly because RCS has a tendency to make things go insane right about now. But why did you bring this? Why did you bring RCS, I hear you exclaim mildly. Well, you need RCS for docking. If you try and dock without using RCS, 1, you're insane, 2, it won't work, and 3, if you do manage to get it work, holy crap, you are a god. So, here we go. Got our marker just about ready, and... get RCS on that crap, and let's fast forward to our location. Just a little bit, don't go over 2, like arrows. Or times 4. Or it might be times 50, I can't remember. Anyway, burn that rocket. Burn it good. Now follow that blue marker wherever it goes until you reach 0. Of course, when you get to the last couple of meters a second, you probably want to just not try and chase it, because you will end up flying out of control if you are inexperienced. So, get your thing so it's going to float over the blue marker, and turn your RCS on and get ready to press that H button. I'm not sure if I mentioned H in this take. I hope I did. So yes, use RCS to get this into 0 meters a second. And it's going way too far and I don't like it. Okay, 1 meter a second, good enough. Now, Periaps is going to freak the hell out because you turned SAS on, and apparently that's heretical. Alright. Okie doke. I'm thinking, alright. Put another maneuver node down here and let's experiment. There's probably a math to this, but I don't want to think today. Okay, I made a boo. Oh well, take 5! Because I'm guessing I'm going to cut myself out to save time. Ah, perfect! Why didn't I do this when I saved? That's why. Okay. So, what you want to do now is just put a move node and experiment and see how close you can get the two things together. We want them to kiss. 23, that's good enough, but we can do better. 6.8, that's relatively amazing. I did not cut that out. Shut up. So yes, let's find that marker. Don't worry about the freaking out Periapsis and Apoapsis, despite the fact they're freaking me out. Let us catch up to that marker. Ideally, you don't want to use the blue markers to try and make an intersect, because you will have to burn a crap ton in order to make your orbits the same as this one. Now, if I recall correctly, NASA had a lot of trouble actually trying to figure this out, like all those years ago when they're trying to figure out how to dock originally, because they couldn't think like this, and well, can't remember who finally figured it out. I think it was actually an astronaut. But it was like a holy crap moment. Because when you look at this for the first time without any knowledge of how those things work, and you're like, huh? And it kind of makes sense, but it makes sense when people show it to you. No, it doesn't make sense if you're the one trying to figure out how to do it for the first time ever in humanity's span. So let's time warp this until we reach our marker, and I need a drink. Much better. Now my throat is not trying to escape. Alright, let's go down to about 30 seconds. Or 5 seconds, whichever's good. Never get too happy with the time warp. You'll most likely screw it up like I nearly did, mainly because the planet came into view and I didn't see the marker, but... Now this is the most important burn you want to get right. So don't over it. If you do go over, that's okay. Find the marker and instead use your RCS and press N, I think it is, to burn the opposite direction, in which case bring them back. If you use the main engines, you're going to have a hard time, because you have to find the exact opposite place on the ball to where the blue marker is, and that's not fun.